In this video, we have the Radiolink RC8X along with the R8FG receiver. We're going to be trying that in my rear-wheel drive drift car, and what we're going to be testing, the gyro that's in here. They claim that it's good for drifting. Is it really? So we're going to test out the built-in receiver gyro. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. And one of my passions is helping people get started with RC drifting. And honestly, one of the biggest questions you get is, which controller should I get? Let's start with the install of this receiver into the car, getting the wires hooked up, and let's see how it works. For this first test, I have the receiver installed right here behind the servo. We have the GYD 550 Futaba gyro that I would normally be running is unplugged. And what I have over here is I just have the ESC plugged into channel 2, and I have the servo plugged directly into channel 1. So there is no aftermarket gyro hooked up to this thing at all. I literally only have 2 channels plugged in. One for steering, 2 for the ESC.
Welcome to Radiolink.
Oh man, that really is so nice. The screen and the fit and finish on this controller really is just really top notch, isn't it? Quick test, we're going to hold the car just to make sure it doesn't take off on us. We're going to power everything on. We have a green LED on the receiver. Let's see how steering works. So my steering is reversed. So we're going to need to do something about that. Let's see. I do have power to the ESC, but clearly I need to program my ESC. Whenever you put a new controller on a vehicle, you have to go through the ESC setup procedure in order to let it know what is full throttle, what is neutral, what is reverse. Clearly it's seeing neutral here, but I have turbo and boost set in this thing, and it's not hitting it. So for some reason, it's not seeing full throttle here as truly full throttle. You will have to go through your individual ESC setup procedures for as far as how to calibrate it to your radio. I'm going to do that now for my hobby wing. Alright, now one of the things that we need to do is we need to be able to reverse the steering. So if we go to the basic menu right here, which is the second button down, there is channel reverse. And we're going to reverse channel 1. And now let's see, look at that, right is right, left is left. Now, the good news is my steering is actually still dead straight, so I do not need to come in here to the sub trim and change anything. But we are going to need to go to the endpoints because, especially with this Redcat RDS chassis, it's very easy to overexert the servo and end up stripping out the servo horn or frying the servo. So, interesting here, channel 1, you can actually see as I change, as I steer. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, you can actually see where it's sensors coming in here on the side. You can actually see it's showing me what that is. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to drag it way down. So I have to get it down to something like 55 for this controller. We're at about the same both directions. We'll go ahead and make it just 55. So it's about the 55% is what I had to turn the steering to, so I'm not overexerting the servo. Pretty far down there, but that's fine. That's just part of how this car is set up. Clearly so far the servo does seem to work quite nicely, but it does say that if you come in here to the basic menu receiver setting, it says servo speed set at 14 milliseconds from the factory. And then if you do a digital servo, which this is, you want to change it to something less than that. You want to change it to the 4 or the 3 milliseconds. Now, I don't know, I can't tell immediately what difference that seems to make, but that's what they say to do. I'm going to put it on the 3, and we're going to see what happens. Now, the next thing is it says we need to get this into a gyro mode itself for this first test that we're going to do. So this right in here, we're going to push it 3 times. It should turn to red. So red is the normal operation gyro mode. Let's see. As of right now, I still have no gyro working though. To then get the gyro to actually work, I had to come in here and turn mixing on. And it says mixing channel 8, gyro type, gyro built in. And now, gyro appears to work. It doesn't appear to be super sensitive, but it does appear to work. We still have full steering, so you can actually change the gyro gain. It is set here on this DL1 PS3 from the factory. So I have it, I don't know, just messing with it. I have it at 80. So let's tie up these antennas and give this a first drive with the built-in gyro. Woo! Alright, so can you drive it? Yes. You have to chase the heck out of it though. I now just cranked the gain all the way up to 100. Let's see how that does. So even at 100, it still works pretty well. Let's come in here. I'm very curious. If I reset the endpoints, does it change how it drives? Testing that built-in gyro, that wasn't horrible. I was really thinking that it was going to be worse than that. And let me caveat this a little bit here real quick. Figure 8 in my garage, and I have my truck set up to where honestly it's pretty easy to drive. So that all is helping it. I'm not at a track. I'm not doing any like quick transitions. Yes, figure 8 involves transitions, but it's not quite the same as being at a full track. But all of that being said, that was surprisingly good. Is the built-in gyro here on the level of a Futaba GYD 550, Yokomo V4, any of those? No, it is not. It is not. If you are serious about rear-wheel drive drifting, you will still buy a dedicated gyro and you will be better off for it. However, there are lots of cheapo gyros out there, and I have tested so many of them. This is as good as those, honestly. And so, if you're cheaping out on not getting a good gyro, you might as well just get this controller and use the built-in gyro until you save up enough money in order to get a proper gyro to put in there. I would still recommend that 99% of people, you need to get a dedicated gyro. This worked. It worked surprisingly well in my very basic setup that I have here, and it's better than wasting money on a bad gyro, okay? So don't go out there and buy a dedicated gyro that's bad. Don't do that. That's just a waste of money compared to what's in this receiver. On that bombshell, we're gonna leave this here tonight. Next video that I have with this, I'm gonna actually be setting this controller and that receiver up with my Futaba GYD 550 and walking you through all of how I do that. Stay tuned for that. That'll be popping up in a Drift Tech playlist off to your right. Thank you and goodbye.